りあえず追加。わからん。ベッキーさんお疲れ様です。このゲーム地味に高いです。
Your new space
ここは英
program,
語なんだ。
leaping forward into the cosmos. Since the dawn of Kerbal kind, we have looked to the skies on
First astronaut
ちょっと
ground.
飛ばそう。
We're at the training center. Board.
だって、じゃあ、このキャンパスにはHRMH。これってジパングさんが言ってたやつね。そう、ジパングさんが言ってたやつ。ジパングさんは1しかやった、1。これの前作しかやったことないくて、まだ2買ってないらしいですけど。これはもう2から。グラフィックも上がってる方からいきます、ね。やばい、全然読んでなかった。まあいいや。とりあえず中ということ
Space is the place.
音楽なしの方が
So
いい
you want to get to space. Have you tried rockets?
これって2作目そう
Rockets use fuel and engines to create thrust, which
だからタイトル2って書いてあるんですよ
fuel tank is empty. It is dropped to stay as lightweight as possible, allowing the rocket to go even faster. These tanks, as well as other expendable parts of a rocket,
英語
are
なんで
called
何言ってるか全
stages.
然わかんないです。
Different stages do
こ
different
のアナウン
things.
ス中。
Often the first stage is very powerful,
Tada,
with
ma.
just enough fuel to get the vehicle through the atmosphere. The second stage usually has a low thrust engine that, while not as powerful, is more fuel efficient. After dropping the heavier first stage and leaving the atmosphere, the second stage engine pushes the much lighter second stage to orbital speed.
これに関しては知ってるけどね。
On a flight to space, the final stage parachutes back down to the surface, ideally in one piece.
ロケットがどうなるかっていう、あれね。チュートリアル終了なの。これのね、これのチュートリアルが終了。なるほどです。すいません、確かに。2って書いてありました。そう。はあ、
Welcome to the launch pad.
まあ、次
As you
に急
embark
にロ
on
ケッ
your
ト出てく
journey
るじ
into
ゃん。
rocketry, it's important to get all the crashing out of your system here in the simulator. It really cuts down on the awkward phone calls.
そんなロケット言う
Today you'll be launching into the
支えない。
virtual skies over KSC,
支えられ
where you'll learn how to control a rocket.
気まずい電話をする必要が大幅に。気まずい電話。ジョー君の空に上がって飛び立ちました。そこでロケットの
Let's learn how to rotate the flight camera. Great! You can also zoom the camera in and out.
ズームがこれね。動かしてじゃん。
Nice! Go ahead and pick your favorite view for this launch. Your rocket is ready for launch. Every good launch starts with a big green button and lots of fire. Most bad launches do looking good. Ascend to 1,000 meters, and then we'll learn some controls. Okay, you're a kilometer up.
ここで1キ
You
ロなん
can
だ。
still crash, but you'll have more time to correct your
まだ
course
制
if you
約の可
start
能性はあ
pointing
り
at the
ますが、
ground.
ここまでこれはもう
Let's learn some rocket
制約
controls.
し始めても起動しする時間が
When flying a rocket or a plane, we have specific terms for moving. Pitch tilts your rocket's nose up and nice pitch. Now pitch up until you're flying straight up. Let's move on. Yaw steers your rocket
要
left
はロケッ
and
ト
right. Try it now. Now yaw, excellent. Now for the final
こんなロ
control.
ケット嫌だけど。
Roll rotates your rocket clockwise and counterclockwise. Try it now.
9位。
That's
ま
the
ああるけ
basics
どね
of rocket flight. Feel free to experiment with the controls. We can move on when you're ready.
操作基本ここか。
So you want to get to
宇宙に行き
space.
たいですか
It's
それなら
time
ロ
to
ケットを
make
作
a
るしかないで
rocket.
す。細か。大丈夫そう
A simple rocket requires four
シンプ
crucial
ルなロケッ
components:
トには
a
要する
command
に
module, fuel tank,
コマンドモジュー
engine,
ル、
and
燃料
parachute.
タンク、
Let's start by learning how to add a command module. A command module allows us to control our vessel. As long as there is at least one command module on board, our rocket will be operational. For this lesson, we're going to make a small... Great! It doesn't look like much. How about that one? Rocketry Week. Notice the part is once again attached. Now that's beginning to look like a rocket. Well, almost. We need an end to break free of Kerbin's soupy atmosphere. Now let's add the sustainer engine to the fuel tank. Excellent. Our rocket is looking... Our one Kerbal... Now all we need to do is put it... Congratulations! You've just built a rocket. Are you sure you haven't done this before?
ちっちゃいロケット。
As you start to build rockets, you'll want to see your designs from other angles. First, let's rotate the camera. Nice! Now let's zoom the camera in. Great! Now let's pan the camera up and down.
外した。
You can also focus your camera at a specific part. If you want to view your rocket from the top, front, or sides, switch to blueprint mode. You can change the camera's direct... If you ever get lost in the VAB, you can always reset the camera.
Home key どこで Home key なんてあった？あったわ。
Nice! Now you can get at those hard-to-reach parts of your rocket.
むずそうこのゲーム。
Your rocket's ready. Let's take it out for a little hop.
このロケット飛ばすの？
Let's move this rocket to a launch pad. Welcome to the launch pad. Today you'll be flying straight up. Your rocket should do fine without any steering inputs, but if things get out of line somehow, feel free to intervene. You've cleared the launch tower and your flight is underway. Let's learn about staging. Rockets are constructed in sections called stages. Each stage is designed for a different part of a mission. When a stage completes its job, it's dropped to shed. On your right, you'll find the staging stack. It displays all of the functions contained in each stage. Each stage's fuel supply is shown on a bar next to the stage. Your active stage, stage 1, your first stage is out of fuel, and all it is doing is slowing you down. To drop that weight, you're going to activate your next stage. That will activate a decoupler, which will drop your empty stage. Ready? Hit go to lose that mass. Congratulations, you're nearly to space, and your next set of... Activate the next stage to... Your capsule will now continue coasting up. All that's left to do is gaze back down at Kerbin and wonder if you remembered to lock your car. Nice work! Your capsule has a lot of momentum. If you're curious how high up, rocketry involves a lot of waiting between the cool explosions. You can speed up, check out your altimeter. See how quickly those numbers are rising? Let's ride the rest of the way up and fast forward. You're about to start falling back down. Let's slow down. Great job. You're now a master of time. Try not to use this new power for you.
難しい。
What goes up must come down. Wind resistance. If you deploy your parachute too early, it'll be torn off. Okay, you're low enough to activate the final state. Hit go to pop your chute. Nice work. The parachute will trail your capsule for a bit without fully opening. Once you've slowed down enough, it'll open all the way by itself.
勝手に開くってことね。
Your parachute is now fully deployed and slowing the capsule to a safe velocity. Missing the ground. If you want to visit space for more than a couple of minutes, you'll need to get to orbit. An object is When you're making a rocket, it's often easiest to work. Anytime we intend to drop an empty stage after using all of its fuel, add that decoupler to the bottom of your rocket. We need to attach a larger, more powerful lower stage to the... Out in the real world, this list would show, oh, now that the lower stage has been merged into your current workspace. Perfect! Merging is a very powerful tool. Anytime you want to reuse a particular... Space rockets sometimes need an extra boost. We'll start by attaching 4 radial decouplers that will eject the spent boosters when they're empty. To make sure that these decouplers are evenly spaced and aligned with one another, you'll be using the symmetry tool. Great! Now when you place a part on one side of your rocket, 3 more evenly spaced duplicates will appear around the rocket. Perfect! Now you've got 4 radial decouplers exactly where they need to be. Let's attach those solid fuel boosters. Since you're still in 4x symmetry mode, simply attach this booster to one of the decouplers you just placed. That will attach copies of that booster to the... Great job! You've finished your orbital rocket. You can symmetrically place up to 8 parts at once. A feat that could until now only be...
むずすぎだろ、このゲーム。
Before you launch a rocket, you need to plan the order of your staging events. The staging order begins at the bottom of the staging stack. You want your boosters and main engine to fire together for maximum thrust. The solid fuel boosters are currently in the second stage. If we don't change anything, the boosters will ignite late and detach themselves at the same time. This would be embarrassing for everybody, so let's move the boosters down to stage 1. Your solid fuel boosters burn very hard and very fast, so they will run out of fuel first. Even though your main engine and boosters will activate at the same time, you want to drop the empty boosters before you drop your main engine. You'll add a new stage above stage 1 to do one thing. Activate the radial decouplers to jettison your spent boosters. Now move all 4 radial decouplers from stage 4 to your new stage 2. All done. Your remaining stages are set up so that stage 4 will activate.
なんていうゲームをおすすめしてくれたんだ。むずすぎる。楽しいけどむずすぎる。
All right, we're ready to light this candle. In this flight, you're going all the way to orbit. I'll walk you through the process of launching, executing a gravity turn to get moving sideways, coasting to orbital altitude, and doing a final burn at the before we begin. Let's talk about at launch, you want all your engines at maximum thrust. You can see your main throttle here. Left shift gradually increases your throttle. Left control, your fuel levels are visible within the staging stack. Right now, you can see that your main engine and 4 boosters are all topped off and ready to rumble. It's time to go. At the start, all you need to do is fly straight up. I'll check back in with... All right, the solid fuel boosters are empty. Let's drop them. It's time to start your gravity turn. A gravity turn uses the pull of the planet's gravity to help bend your vertical ascent into a horizontal arc. First, we need to get to 10,000 meters. You're going to yaw towards the east so that the target marker is in the center of the nav ball. Your current stage's fuel is empty. Let's drop it and activate your deep space engine.
どこ行ったかどういう状況？どういう状況ですかこれ？どうしたらいいのこれ？なんか見せたい。一回ちょっと終わらせよう。
By my calculations, you'll need to go up to achieve orbit.
Okay.
Before we begin, let's talk about the nav ball. At launch, you can see your fuel levels are visible within the staging stack. Right now, you can see that your main engine and 4 boosters are all topped off and ready to rumble. It's time to go. At the start, all you need to do is fly straight up. All right, it's time to start your gravity turn. A gravity turn, first, we need to get to 10,000 meters. You're going to yaw towards the east so that the target marker is in the center of the nav ball. Your vessel and nav ball should look like this example video if you're performing the gravity turn correctly. Way to make Kerbin's gravity work for you. You're now on track to establish an orbit. Your current stage's fuel is empty. Great job! Your rocket is on its way to orbit. As you gain experience, you can make your gravity turns more efficient by starting to tilt your rockets soon after liftoff. Right now, we're on a ballistic trajectory. When planning and executing orbit, the blue arc passing through your vehicle is its current trajectory. The path your rocket will follow. Let's break that down a little more. We're paused at just before the app. You're all lined up and ready to. Once your trajectory reaches all the way around the planet, you'll see another marker on your orbit. This is the periapsis, or PE, the lowest point in your orbit. It'll always live on the opposite side of your orbit from the apoapsis, or highest point. By burning prograde near your apoapsis, you increase the altitude of your periapsis, the lowest point on your orbit. Here's the most important thing to remember about setting up an orbit above an atmosphere. Keep your eye on your trajectory for now, and I'll tell you if your periapsis is safely out of the atmosphere. Okay, your orbit is fully out of the atmosphere. Cut the throttle. You did it! You're in orbit! This is when I'd usually tell you to look under your seat in the simulator, where you'd find a delicious celebratory treat. Sadly. Right now, we're on a ballistic trajectory. When planning and executing orbital maneuvers, the blue arc past. Let's break that down a little more. The top of your arc has a helpful tag in map view. It's called the apoapsis, abbreviated as AP. We're paused at just before the apo. You're all lined up and ready to go. The next step is to go. Once your trajectory reaches all the way around the planet, here's the most important thing to remember about setting up an orbit above. Keep your eye on your trajectory for now, and I'll tell you if your periapsis is safely out of the atmosphere. Okay, your orbit is fully out of the atmosphere. Cut the throttle. You did it! You're in orbit! This is when I'd usually tell you to look under your seat in the simulator, where you'd find. Orbits are weird. Remember your orbiting baseball? An equatorial orbit is good, but if you want to travel beyond Kerbin, you will need to manipulate your orbit. Let's start with something simple. Remember how you circularized your orbit by increasing your forward velocity? To raise your orbit, now that we're pointed the right way, we can increase the throttle and watch our orbit expand. Ooh, cut the throttle. If you overdo it, you'll leave Kerbin. I know you want to explore, but now's not the... An equatorial orbit is good. Remember how you circulate? Now that we're pointed the right way, we can increase the throttle and watch our orbit expand. Ooh, cut the throttle. If you overdo it, you'll leave Kerbin's orbit entirely. Remember how you circular... Now that we're pointed the right way, we can increase the throttle and watch our orbit expand. I know you want to explore, but an equatorial orbit is good, but if you want to travel, remember how you circularized your orbit by increasing your... Now that we're pointed the right way, we can increase the throttle and watch our orbit expand. Ooh, cut the throttle. If you overdo it, you'll... Nice. That maneuver raised... Like I said earlier, scroll the middle mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Double-click an object to center your camera on it. Click the middle mouse button to enter FreeCam. Press Home to reset the camera to your active vessel. Excellent! You can time warp to any position on your trajectory by selecting... Now you're way up in the sky. So high that if you circularize your orbit now... From command pods to space probe cores, a lot of critical rocket parts use electric charge. Most rocket engine solar panels can... Just kidding. There's a... Great! The solar panels are now extended. Light tracking solar panels only rotate on one axis, so we may need to Excellent! The solar panel... Getting EC is one thing, and storing it is another. Most command pods have a... Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists are constantly developing new technologies. New technology means new parts to play with. Exciting, right? There is one teeny catch. Our scientists don't get out much. That's where we come in. While our scientists are hard at work, it's up to us to give them all the data they crave. Who do you think We earn science by completing missions and performing experiments. Feel free to visit Mission Control for... Experiments are performed at research locations. A combination... Experiments are performed by special experiment parts. Each experiment will... Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists are constantly developing new technologies. New technology means new parts to play with. Exciting, right? There is one teeny catch. Our scientists don't get out much. That's where we come in. While we earn science, experiments are performed at research. Experiments are performed by special experiment parts. Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists are constantly developing new technologies. Our scientists don't get out much. Outside of the launch pad, that's where we come in. Experiments are performed by special experiment parts. Each experiment will detail what research locations they work in, so read your part details in the VAB. Kerbals on extravehicular activity, EVA, are also able to perform Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists are constantly developing new technologies. New technology means new parts to play with. Exciting, right? There is one teeny catch. Our scientists don't get it. That's where we come in. While our scientists are hard at work, it's up to us to give them all the data they crave. Who do you think pilots our probes? We earn science by completing missions and performing experiments. Feel free to visit Mission Control for the rundown on missions. I'm here to guide you through performing experiments. Experiments are performed at research locations, a combination of place and situation. For example, low orbit and high orbit around Kerbin are two of those locations. Other situations include being landed in a certain geographic region, swimming in the water, or flying in the atmosphere over Kerbin's majestic mountains. Have you seen our R&D building? Our brilliant scientists don't get it. That's where we come in. While our scientists are hard at work, it's up to us to give them all the data. We earn science by completing missions and performing experiments. Feel free to visit Mission Control for the rundown on missions. I'm here to guide you through performing experiments. Experiments are performed at research locations, a combination of place and situation. For example, low orbit and high orbit around Kerbin are two of those locations. Other situations include being landed in a certain geographic region, swimming in the water, or flying in the atmosphere over Kerbin's majestic mountains.
Your new space program, leaping forward into the cosmos. Since the dawn of Kerbal we have looked to
全部つけれるのかな。コックピットとあれ。くそ。どこにつけるもんだ、これ。これってどこにつける？近い近い。てか。 あ、そういうこと。ね、合ってんの？多分何でも飛ぶんだ。いや、とりあえず、また配信しよう。一旦1時間ちょいでテスト的な配信で終わりますね。また配信します。多分。気が向いたら配信します。とりあえず、楽しいけど、難しいゲームです。配信外でちょっと遊びます。それでは、配信の方はこの辺で終わらせていただきます。お疲れ様でした。